substance abuse. I feel like the pandemic also played a huge role. I feel like the students are just so desensitized from a lot of things.
The students who come in here are communicative, they are reliable, dependable, they want to release, they're looking for assistance, looking for help.
It kind of just gives us a place to like talk if we need to and like relate to people close to us.
This is my home. If I was alone at this age, I would probably be cold. I'd be left on the street, probably stuck, froze like stone.
Let's go.
At this age, I'd be on my own.
Kill. Kill.
I am so proud of these kids that are coming to this program and saying, I like getting this help. I need this help. And we're saying, come on in, we're here to help you.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. I'd like to call to order this Tuesday, September 3rd meeting of the Pierce County Council. The time is 3:01 p.m. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Councilmember Campbell.
Here.
Councilmember Krueger.
Here.
Councilmember Denson.
Here.
Councilmember Herrera.
Excused.
Councilmember Hitchin.
Here.
Councilmember Morell.
Excused.
Councilmember Mello.
Here.
You have 5 members present.
We have 5 members present and a quorum. Item number 3 is our Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, a moment of silence, and our land acknowledgement. Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, led by Councilmember Denson, followed by a moment of silence dedicated to our men and women serving overseas in the military, and then the land acknowledgement read by Councilmember Denson. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We acknowledge that we are on the traditional homelands of the Coast Salish tribes. Coast Salish people have lived on and stewarded these lands since time immemorial and continue to do so today. We recognize that this land acknowledgement is one small step towards true allyship, and we commit to uplifting the voices, experiences, and histories of the Indigenous people of this land.
Thank you, Councilmember Denson. We're now at section 4, which is the approval of the agenda. Are there any objections to approving today's agenda as presented? Seeing no objection, the agenda is approved. On today's council agenda, there will be multiple opportunities for public comment. On the consent agenda, you may provide comment on any final action item. This does not include items placed on the consent agenda simply for introduction and scheduling. So on today's consent agenda, there will be 1 set of minutes for approval and 1 appointment resolution for final action. Those are subject to public comment. And during section 9 of the agenda, we will take public comment on each ordinance individually. And then finally, under community forum, there will be an opportunity to address the council on any topic that is not up for final action on today's agenda. For information on the rules for public participation, please review the bottom of page 1 of today's agenda. We're now at section 5, the consent agenda. Does any member wish to pull any item from the consent agenda for discussion? Not seeing any. Vice Chair Campbell for a motion, please.
Thank you, Chair. I move approval of the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded that we adopt the consent agenda as presented. This is a public hearing on the consent agenda. Again, 2 final action items include the 1 set of minutes and the appointment resolution of Kip Clinton to the Key Peninsula Land Use Advisory Commission. Any member of the public wish to provide comment starting here in council chambers? Anybody wishing to provide comment on these items on the consent agenda? Not seeing anybody. Mr. Dominique, anybody in the Zoom room?
For any member of the public that would like to provide comment on any of the final action items on the consent agenda, please press the raise hand icon in Zoom or *9 on your telephone keypad. There are no hands at this time, Chair.
With no hands, we'll close the public hearing, bring it back to the council. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll on the consent agenda?
Councilmember Krueger. Aye. Councilmember Denson.
Aye.
Councilmember Hitchin.
Aye.
Councilmember Campbell.
Aye.
Councilmember Mello.
Aye.
The result of the roll call vote is 5 ayes and 0 nays.
On a vote of 5 ayes and 0 nays, the consent agenda is adopted. We're at section 6, messages from the executive and other county elected officials. There are 2 messages from the executive, and there'll actually be a third here. So there's a message from the executive transmitting the following ordinance, which was approved and signed on August 26, 2024, which was ordinance 2024-537S. An ordinance of the Pierce County Council granting a non-exclusive franchise agreement to the Lake of the Woods Community Club for the location of water lines. There was a message from the executive that transmitting the following ordinance, which was approved and signed on August 28th, 2024. That was ordinance 2024-539S. This is an ordinance of the Pierce County Council amending the county code related to site development and stormwater drainage and other development regulations to further provide improvements to the development process in county code. And then I'm going to ask Vice Chair Campbell to read into the record. Earlier today, Executive Dammeier declared a limited duration emergency related to the coordinated entry system. In order to make sure the public knows what is going on, I'm going to ask Vice Chair Campbell to actually read the language of the emergency proclamation into the record.
Okay. Thank you, Chair. Emergency proclamation pursuant to Pierce County Code 2.106.070, Pierce County, Washington. Whereas Pierce County's coordinated entry services system is an essential step in providing services for our community's most vulnerable population of unhoused and unsheltered individuals and families. And whereas coordinated entry services are commonly referred to as the front door for the Homeless Crisis Response Systems, HCRS, that is the regional system used to connect homeless people with emergency shelter, safe parking sites, day shelter, rapid rehousing, and permanent supportive housing. And whereas Pierce County funds a vast array of services for the homeless and those at risk of becoming homeless, including diversion services, temporary shelters, and permanent housing, and coordinated entry acts as the vital circulatory system through which multiple homeless and housing agencies across the county communicate and coordinate services. And whereas coordinated entry is accessed with the 211 line, a mobile outreach teams and drop-in centers that register clients, conduct assessments, and match clients with services and appropriate housing options. And whereas in 2023, coordinated entry engaged over 9,900 individuals who are homeless or at risk of homelessness in Pierce County and are permanently housed 1,200 of them. And whereas in 2024, coordinated entry has already engaged with over 8,800 individuals. And whereas the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development requires a coordinated entry system be in place for the county to receive federal funds pursuant to 24 CFR 576.400D. And whereas Pierce County Human Services provides coordinated entry services for the region by contracting with local providers who administer the program following a competitive procurement process pursuant to PCC 2.106.050, and whereas in 2021 and 2022, Pierce County Human Services issued a competitive notice of availability of funding for coordinated entry services for limited duration and entered into contracts of limited duration with successful providers. There's a lot here. And whereas pursuant to standard procurement practices, the current coordinated entry provider contracts ending August 31st, 2024 may not be extended by amendment because the NOFAs were for a limited duration, did not allow for extension by amendment. Whereas county government recently identified the contracts for coordinated entry services that cannot be extended by amendment, and whereas Pierce County Prosecuting Attorney's Office provided a formal legal opinion dated September 3rd indicating that coordinated entry service provider contracts may be extended in duration by amendment and a new procurement must be undertaken for coordinated entry services in order to comply with standard procurement practices in Pierce County Code. Whereas even an expedited procurement process would take 120 days to complete solicitation, review of applications, scoring, executive approval, and council presentation, review, contract negotiations, and contract execution. Whereas based on 2023 and 2024 service data, a 120-day period without regional coordinated entry services would result in an estimated 3,000 individuals failing to receive vital housing and homelessness services, and an estimated 600 individuals who would not be matched with available permanent housing. And whereas placing these essential homeless and housing services beyond the reach of our community's most vulnerable individuals for 120 days poses a direct threat to public health, safety, and welfare, and could impact others in Pierce County. Whereas the executive has consulted with the prosecuting attorney on the need for declaring an emergency as required by Pierce County Code 2.106.070C. Be it proclaimed by the Pierce County Executive that emergency exists in Pierce County pursuant to Pierce County Code 2.106.070 due to the delay that would result if Pierce County Human Services were to procure coordinated entry services according to Pierce County's regular competitive contracting procedures, and the Pierce County Executive hereby grants an emergency waiver for 120 days and authorizes Pierce County Human Services to immediately contract for coordinated entry services as permitted by Pierce County Code 2.106.070 so that essential coordinated entry services can continue with the Pierce County Human Services conducts a new procurement. Signed by Bruce Danmeyer, Pierce County Executive, dated this day, 3rd of September, 2024. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Vice Chair Campbell. So all that to say, a limited duration emergency was declared so that we can continue the coordinated entry services, which is the first step so many individuals utilize in order to get the services they need to stabilize. What the Council, in learning about the declaration of emergency today, glad we found a way to continue coordinated entry services. This is absolutely essential. At the same time, we have to ask ourselves, how did we get to this point? How did we not have a normal order course of business to procure these services and deliver what we know to be essential human services that we've relied on for a long time? So the Council will be asking that question. We'll be asking that question of the Executive and of the Human Services Department to figure out how do we fix these procurement processes going forward. So we should not be doing procurement via emergency. That should not be a standard operating procedure. There should be a very orderly way and normal course of business way to procure public services. These are essential services, so I'm glad we figured out this stopgap, and we need to figure out how to fix this problem going forward so that we're not procuring services in an emergency fashion. Vice Chair Campbell.
Thank you, Chair. And I think you really framed it well, but we have been asking for months what's going on with coordinated entry contracts and received assurances it was all being handled. And so this is a critical component of our ability to get people off the streets into housing. As it was shared, last year we did 9,900. Just through the end of August, we're already at 8,800 people served this year. So a lot of people really need these basic services. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Much more to come. We're at Section 8, Proclamations, Recognitions, Awards, and Presentations. We have two today. Our first proclamation today proclaims September 13th through the 22nd as Welcoming Week in Pierce County. I'd like to invite the following recipients to the podium as Councilmember Hitchen reads this proclamation into the record. We are so grateful to have many leaders in our community joining us. We have Amy Koo, Executive Director of Tacoma Community House. Please come to the podium. We're also joined by several commissioners on our Commission on Refugee and Immigrant Affairs. So if these commissioners could come forward and also join Executive Director Koo. We have Commissioner Alice Fong, Commissioner George Consuelo. We have the chair of the Commission on Refugee and Immigrant Affairs, Camila Maturano. And also the artistic director of the Tacoma Refugee Choir, Orlando Morales. And I know we have others here as well. So thank you all for being here. We know we have a special presentation for the community at the conclusion of reading this proclamation into the record. So let me turn this over to Councilmember Hitchin.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you all for being here this afternoon and spending some time. So I'm going to read this, and then we will get on to some other ways to celebrate. A proclamation of the Pierce County Council proclaiming September 13th through the 22nd, 2024 as Welcoming Week in Pierce County, Washington. Whereas communities around the globe celebrate Welcoming Week from September 13 to 22 as a way to create a shared sense of home. Welcoming Week is a time to bring neighbors together across our differences, to build relationships and collaborate on shared goals. And whereas Pierce County is home to a diverse population, including many who are not born here, but have chosen to make this their home. The success of Pierce County depends on ensuring that all community members feel welcome and valued. Newcomers are an essential part of our community, contributing ideas, starting businesses, serving as civic roles, working in vital industries, and enriching the county's vibrant diversity. And whereas to fully capitalize on our diversity as an asset, the Pierce County Council strives to create a culture and policies that ensure everyone belongs and thrives. The Pierce County Council has demonstrated this commitment to welcoming refugees and immigrants, including the passage of Ordinance Number 2021-86 to create the Commission on Refugee and Immigrant Affairs to provide insights and recommendations to the county, enhance the relationship between county government and refugee and immigrant communities. And whereas, following Ordinance Number 2021-86, the Council adopted Resolution Number R 2021-108S, which requested the Pierce County Executive to create a county-wide equity index to measure accessibility, livability, education, environmental health, and the economy throughout Pierce County. This tool was published in 2023 and is now used for equity analysis of proposed ordinances and resolutions, a requirement outlined in Ordinance Number 2023-2. And whereas in 2021, the Pierce County Council adopted Resolution Number R 2021-154 to welcome Afghan refugees to Pierce County after the Taliban, an extremist group known for its brutal and oppressive rule, characterized by severe violations of human rights, particularly against women and minorities, returned to power in Afghanistan. And whereas by fostering a welcoming environment for all, regardless of immigration status, race, ethnicity, place of origin, English language proficiency, religion, income, gender, sexual orientation, differing abilities, age, and other factors, the Pierce County's health, economic prosperity, and well-being for current and future generations is enhanced. Now, therefore, be proclaimed on this third day of September 2024 by the Pierce County Council that September 13 to September 22nd, 2024 is Welcoming Week in Pierce County, Washington. Community members are encouraged to participate in one or more of the Welcoming Week events throughout the county. Thank you.
Let's give them a round of applause. Amy, could we, Commissioner Fong or Amy, are you going to start?
You both get to speak, so.
We'll go for it. Well, thank you so much for prioritizing and recognizing the powerful impact of immigrants in our community. Day in and day out, we see immigrant communities bring forth optimism, hard work, resilience, and family-oriented ethics in which strengthen the fabric of our community. My own family arrived from Vietnam in the 1970s, and I am constantly in awe of the journey that they endured, the courage to leave behind everything, and then the tireless work to rebuild life upon arriving in the United States. I know that many in this room, I know that many of us have our own immigration journeys, and know immigrants who have inspired each of us to be courageous, to celebrate family and culture, and to recognize the tremendous value of a diverse society. In fact, it's likely that your breakfast, the business you went to, the computer software you're using currently was brought to you or produced by an immigrant. In fact, 1 in 4 businesses throughout Pierce County was started and run by an immigrant family. And so as we prepare for Welcoming Week, I just encourage everyone to find ways to learn about your family's immigration journey, to stand by immigrants as they experience the many challenges that they face as newcomers, and to learn and to get to know your neighbors and support immigrant businesses. Tacoma Community House has provided a full week of events that you can join, family-oriented opportunities to learn from and connect with your immigrant community. So join us in celebrating, honoring, and advancing an inclusive and diverse community. Thank you.
Thank you for being with us.
Hi, thank you so much, council members, Chair Mello, everybody for putting together, and of course our wonderful staff with the Commission on Refugee and Immigrant Affairs. I'm humbled to represent our board, and I have a couple of my esteemed colleagues, here with me today. And, when we think about Welcoming Week, I was, thinking about my dad's journey here to Tacoma and starting a Chinese restaurant. And for him, coming to the North American continent back in the 60s, he really experienced all sorts of exclusion. And so when he started Seven Seas on McKinley Avenue in Tacoma, he wanted to make sure that it was welcoming for everybody, centering on, of course, our new neighbors, but then how do we bring everybody together? And I believe that the spirit of the Commission of Korea is to do that. And at Seven Seas from the 70s, 80s until he retired, it was a place where our county executive came to eat. Our legislators, elected officials, and from the people who makes the Tacoma and Pierce County run to, the marginalized community that came. And everybody was able to talk to each other because of the commonality of food. And I'm biased. My dad is a great chef. He was a great chef. And so I just want to appreciate this and the spirit of this proclamation so that we can really provide opportunities for us to mix and mingle and get to know each other. And I think that is what will make Pierce County even stronger than it is. And so I humbly thank all of you for doing this work and leading in your districts, and it's just time for us to mix and mingle. So thank you so much for the work that you do and the time that we have to make Pierce County the best county in Washington and beyond. Go Loggers.
Go Loggers. Thank you, Commissioner. So Orlando, I think we're turning it over to you. You are the artistic director of the Tacoma Refugee Choir. Thank you for being with us, and I know you have many choir participants with you, so let's turn it over to you.
Right. You want us to perform, or you like me to say a couple things?
Both.
Okay. Well, first of all, thank you again.
Stage.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here and for the proclamation. It really is our vision, which you are supporting through this, our vision to model how to turn our diversity into harmony here in Tacoma and in Pierce County. So thank you so much for doing that. It's a little bittersweet being here today because our organization is going under a leadership transition. So I also wanted to take some time to thank Erin Gwinnett, our founding and executive director, for starting Tacoma Refugee Choir and for her vision and just for all of these years of service and making this just a beautiful thing that we hope to continue and to sustain and live up to that legacy. So thank you, Erin. Thank you so much. And if you'd like us to share a song with you, we'd be happy to do so.
We would be honored for you to. So let's hear from you in the choir, and then after that, we will invite our guests up to take a picture with us. But
amazing.
Please.
All right. Karen, do you want to introduce the song while it's starting? Yeah.
Sure. This song was written by a couple of our members of our choir who said that their story, while they've had tragic challenges in the past, their story is one of hope, and that they want to be seen as members who can contribute to our community, and that we all have this gift of love that we can share. No one doesn't need love, and no one cannot give love. Everyone can love someone. We all need love.
Yesterday is gone, a brighter day is here. The long night is over, hope is restored. 'Cause I've been loved and love changed my story. Sad stories can be rewritten where fear ends and hope begins. Everyone can love someone, and everyone needs love. Everyone can love someone. We need each other. Everyone can love someone, and everyone needs love. It doesn't matter where you're from. We all need love. When people change, the world has changed. The world has changed. We can make a difference when we give and love. 'Cause I've been loved and love changed my story. Sad stories can be rewritten where fear ends and hope begins. Everyone can love someone, and everyone needs love. Everyone can love someone. We need each other. Everyone can love someone, and everyone needs love. It doesn't matter where you're from. We all need love. Love is pure, love is kind, love protects. Love is blind, love is pure, love is kind, love protects. Love is blind, love is pure, love is kind, love protects. Love is blind, love is blind. Everyone can love someone, and everyone needs love. Everyone can love someone. We need each other. Everyone can love someone, and everyone needs love. It doesn't matter where you're from. We all need love. Everyone can love someone, and everyone needs love. Everyone can love someone. We need each other. Everyone can love someone, and everyone needs love. It doesn't matter where you're from. We all need love. It doesn't matter where you're from. We all need love.
Thank you. What a joy. Vice Chair Campbell leaned over to me, I think, before you started and whispered, I think this is a first. I think this is the first time we had joyful music in these chambers, at least the first for us, and we suspect the first ever. So thank you for bringing joyful, welcoming, inclusive music and joy into these chambers to remind us about what we're about to celebrate later this month in Welcoming Week. Before we invite all of our participants here for Welcoming Week for a photo, let me invite my colleagues to see if there's any remarks by by council members. Councilmember Hitchin.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for being here. And I just want to first start with the speakers that were here that are planning and organizing. I've been working on for months how we can make Welcoming Week special in our county to help lift up our immigrants, our refugees, our families, our communities, and individuals that just want to learn and explore and celebrate the diversity in our county. So thank you for putting on an entire week of activities. It's not easy to plan and organize events, especially when it goes over an entire week as far as like the people to do that. So thank you for finding a way to do that and getting that information out there. And I just used your friendly Google and looked it up, and Tacoma Community House Welcoming Week, and it popped right up. They've got a whole schedule with where and when and what's going on, and we'll maybe work with our team to see if we can send that out when we publish things as well. And then Aaron, Tacoma has been blessed and our county has been blessed by what you have started, and I think what is going to live on beyond you, and I look forward to you coming back and visiting the Refugee Choir and what it looks like in the future. You really just have started something amazing for our community, and I know it's going to live long past you being here today. It will change and it will morph and faces will change and leadership will change, but the foundation that you created is monumental, and just appreciate you and appreciate you all coming and sharing your talent with us this afternoon. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councilor Hitchin. Vice Chair Campbell.
I'll pick up right where Councilmember Hitchin left off in thanking Aaron. Thank you. I'm just going to leave it at that for now. What you've done is amazing. It impacted me and my family personally. I want to just thank everyone. Thank you, choir, for all that you've done and what you've done over the last 8.5 years to really bring the entire Tacoma Pierce County community together, and everyone who serves on our commissions and boards to help bring awareness to the council on how we can be better at serving immigrants, refugees. Earlier, I think Alice stated that 25% of small businesses started, or businesses, entrepreneurial efforts, are from foreign-born immigrants. And I remember this data. It's something that I know we've worked with, and part of what got me more engaged, because in trying to be a better advocate for entrepreneurs in our community, came across the data of that 25% of businesses are started by immigrants. They're 19% of the population in Washington State, 25% of the people who start businesses, because you don't travel 3,000 miles to the land of opportunity to not seek opportunity. And we see it time and time again. You go around Tacoma, and if you're going to brag about great things in Tacoma, you're inevitably going to be talking about many of our immigrant businesses that make Tacoma the great place that it is, that make Pierce County the great place that it is. And so I could actually go on for about an hour on this, so I'll just self-limit myself here and just thank everyone for your work to continuing to make sure that immigrants and refugees that come into our community feel welcome, respected, and supported. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Before we invite you up here, I too want to say thank you so much, Aaron. Councilmember Hitchin said it perfectly. The foundation you've led is just tremendous, and many of us have had the opportunity to witness the choir sing in many different formats and places and spaces, and it's a constant reminder of how music transcends cultures, languages, politics, all of it, and it's such a gift that you do bring as a reminder to our region. So we're very grateful. So grateful and excited for the activities to come that Tacoma Community House is leading for our county. Looking forward to welcoming week and celebrating and highlighting, picking up where Vice Chair Campbell left off. One of the things this council is really proud of investing in, speaking of investing in entrepreneurs and immigrants and refugees, one of the things we are so proud of investing in is our BIPOC Business Navigator program, where we are really partnering with the Asia Pacific Cultural Center and the Black Collective and others on Mi Centro and others to really help support immigrant and refugees, many of them are, and non-English speakers, to start new businesses and grow new businesses. And that BIPOC Business Accelerator has literally started or grown literally hundreds of new businesses in Pierce County, because we invested in the startup phase and helping to navigate, all the things you need to do when you start a new business. It's complicated, right? So that's just one of the investments that we're so proud to make in partnership with community. And in closing, I want to really thank to the Commission on Refugee and Immigrant Affairs. They think often about how to make this a more inclusive region for everybody and bring us good ideas about what we can act on. And we know they're working at the administrative level with the Human Services Department and others. And as was noted, we have 2 of our staff who put a lot of effort into making the experience for the Commission on Refugee and Immigrant Affairs a meaningful one. Annika Moran and Stephanie Love are tremendous employees in the Human Services Department, and they give their heart and soul to the work. They don't just show up and get a paycheck. They put their heart and soul into the work they do, and this is not the only thing they're responsible for, but we know it's one of the passion projects that they get to work on to support these amazing commissioners. So thank you to the great staff who support them. With that, could we have the choir come here in front of us, and the commissioners and Amy come up here and help accept the proclamation, please? Thank you for being with us. We're going to put you on the go.
Thank you so much.
Oh, absolutely. Great job.
I have you guys just shift this way just a little bit. Perfect. Right there.
George, come this way. You're going to be second.
Can I see everyone's face?
Can you see?
I can, yes.
Okay. Behind somebody tall.
Switch with me.
That's better.
All right. 1, 2, 3. We get a couple more. Try to get this microphone out of the way. All right, and last one. 1, 2, 3. All right. Thank you.
One more.
One more for Alice. 1, 2, 3.
Hanukkah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great performance, everyone.
Thank you so much. Norma Jensen, sorry.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Make sure you get one. Is everyone that's got one? Is that okay if I'm giving those away? Yeah.
Oh, do we give it this to you?
No, that's for yours. That's for the commission.
Did you get one?
Okay.
Oh, thanks for
Aaron, I'll make sure you get one.
Thank you.
Great to see you.
Chair Mello,
Thank you.
Thank you, choir members.
Chair, do you think we can get more artistic performances in the future?
I think we
That
could
would be
hear that.
great.
Yeah. Thank you for bringing some joy into Chambers. Well, our second proclamation is a serious one, and one that we very much want to reflect on. And so today, the Pierce County Council proclaims September 2024 as Suicide Prevention Month in Pierce County. I'd like to invite both Thelma Brown and Judd Morris. They are active with the Gig Harbor Key Peninsula Suicide Prevention Coalition. We'd like to invite you both to the podium as Councilmember Denson reads this proclamation into the record. Thank you both for being with us. Councilmember Denson.
A proclamation of the Pierce County Council proclaiming September 2024 as Suicide Prevention Month in Pierce County, Washington. Whereas in 2023, there was 157 suicide-related deaths in Pierce County. And according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, suicide is the 10th leading cause of death in Washington state. And whereas suicide is the second leading cause of death among people aged 10 to 14, the third leading cause of death among those aged 15 to 24, and the 12th leading cause of death overall in the United States. And whereas suicide continues to be a serious public health problem that affects people of all ages, races, genders, and backgrounds, causing immeasurable pain among individuals, families, and communities. And whereas, according to the CDC, the highest rates of suicide in the U.S. are among American Indian and Alaska Natives, and lesbian, gay, and bisexual youth are 4 times more likely to attempt suicide than straight youth, while transgender adults are nearly 9 times more likely to attempt suicide at some point in their life compared to the general population. And whereas the United States Department of Veteran Affairs reported veteran suicide rates increased 55% from 2001 to 2019, and veterans are 1.5 times more likely to die by suicide than those who have not served. And whereas we can decrease the prevalence of suicide in Pierce County by strengthening economic supports, creating protective environments, improving the access and delivery of suicide care, promoting healthy connections, teaching coping and problem-solving skills, and identifying and supporting people at risk, including learning the warning signs and committing to social change. And whereas the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline implemented the 988 dialing code system in July 2022 to provide direct life-saving services, people can call or text 988 if they or a loved one is experiencing a mental health or suicide-related crisis. And whereas the National Alliance on Mental Illness Pierce County Crisis Line is 1-800-576-7764. The Veterans Crisis Line is 1-800-273-8255, and the Washington Recovery Helpline is 1-866-789-1511. Teens can also access help through the Teen Link at 1-866-833-6546. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed on this 3rd day of September 2024 by the Pierce County Council that September 2024 is Suicide Prevention Month in Pierce County, Washington. And we encourage all community members to use Suicide Prevention Month as a time to focus on raising awareness about the warning signs of suicide, educating themselves in their communities on the importance of mental health care, and encouraging those in need to seek help without shame or hesitation. Pierce County Council.
Let's thank these community volunteers for their work. Thelma, you're the president of the Gig Harbor Key Peninsula Suicide Prevention Coalition. Thank you for your leadership. Remarks from you.
Thank you. May I speak?
Please.
This is Judd Morse, my vice president, and I'm Thelma Brown, the president of the Gig Harbor Key Peninsula Suicide Prevention Coalition. And we would like to thank you so much for your continued support. We could not do what we have done without the support that you give us each year. We have actually organized and gotten board approved a club at Gig Harbor High School called Circle of Friends, Safe Talk. And the school board has approved that club as one of the most important clubs that a school could have on its campus. And what it is, we have students trained in mental health, and they become youth mental health first aiders. And the whole object is in the hallways, if they hear something or see something, they can say something, or they can approach a student and maybe try to help. And if it does not work out, then they know it's time to bring in an adult. So thank you, because we could not do this, we could not have the trainings for these students without your continued support. One of the things that the students will be doing, they go to the junior high schools and also the elementary schools and work with the students at that level. So this is a continuous, ongoing project for youth. And we are preparing to get this program into Henderson Bay High School, Peninsula High School, and then we will proceed to the junior high schools. So at this time, Judd will speak to you about the bridge sign project.
Thank you, Thelma. Welcome, Judd.
Thank you, Thelma. So I'm going to give you first the bad news. The bad news is that people jump off the Tacoma Narrows Bridge. One of the things, we have someone we know who actually jumped off the Golden Gate Bridge and survived. And his comment was, the moment after he stepped off the bridge, he knew he had done the wrong thing. People usually don't get a second chance like that. On the Tacoma Narrows Bridge, you will, if you walk across the bridge, you will see signs on the bridge that say, "We care and help is available." These signs, at least on 2 occasions that we know because of people called back, and we know on many other occasions, family members have called us and told us that their family member has chosen not to jump because they saw the signs. I'm sure there are many others, but the family hasn't called. What I would like to share with you is also the good news. And the good news is about Pierce County, about Tacoma, where you are really ahead of the curve. We're in the process of updating the signs with 988, which is we had the signs put on before 988, which was then 911. What I have learned, and I'm going to take out my cell phone just to show you my cell phone. Okay. You all have cell phones. Some of them don't have a 253 area code. Okay, they have another area code. Tacoma, Pierce County is ahead of the curve because if you were at the bridge and you have a area code which is not 253, you would say, oh, we're going to connect with the 253 911. That's not correct. In Tacoma, when you use your cell phone, you ping a tower, and that nearest tower automatically goes to our 911 center where there's a 988 group there to help out. If you were in Utah or at the University of Michigan where Robin went to school and I went to school, and we hit this area code, we used 253, interestingly enough, that area code, as is many of them, go to the area code you're in. In other words, what I'm trying to say to you is that nationally the system is not set up so it gets to the closest 911. It goes to an area code, then you have to be redirected back to wherever we happen to be. Tacoma, Pierce County is rather unique in that it uses the pinging tower. So the good news is that when someone's in crisis, whether it be suicide, their house is on fire, domestic violence, there is a rapid response. It's responsive to the need. And I want to thank both Pierce County and Tacoma for the efforts they made to make the system work as responsive as it did. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
And with that said, we would like to present to you, Pierce County, a certificate of appreciation for contributions supporting the mission and work of the Gig Harbor and Key Peninsula Suicide Prevention Coalition.
Thank you so much.
And we have one also for our county council member, Representative Robin Denson.
Thank you. Well, thank you. We will display them when we invite you up here shortly to take a photo with us. But I'm sure there's going to be remarks before we invite you up. So thank you so much. Are there remarks by council members? Councilmember Denson.
Well, thank you, Thelma and Judd. I was part of this group a long time ago with Judd. I think it was before Thelma joined, and before it was even a 501c3. And it was really in response to a lot of issues that our community was having with suicides, similar to other issues or other communities throughout Pierce County. And unfortunately, issues that are continuing. But it's so wonderful to have a group now that is addressing it and really addressing the root causes and engaging young people to help spread the word to their colleagues. And I 100% am positive that it's saving lives. And I want to thank Thelma for coming on board as the president. Thelma is a former high school principal from Los Angeles. She's been in the Gig Harbor community for a number of years now, but she brings an amazing understanding of youth. She's the one I call about my youth at home when I have, concerns or questions. So she's really connected with the young people, as has Judd, because he's just timeless in his appeal. So thank you to both of you. You're saving lives, and we're happy to help support you in your efforts. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Denson. Councilmember Hitchin.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you both for being here. Really appreciate the work you do on the Key Peninsula, and that you're continuing to kind of expand the services to get into more places and spaces as the need is great. A couple other, if you aren't on the Key Peninsula and you happen to be tuning in, Silicon, we had them here last year. Whitty's work, they lost their son to suicide and as a family, and they turned that grief into Whitty's work, which allows you to kind of think about, and they've been working really closely with the Stillicum School District, Stillicum Historical School District. They get upset when you don't have the historical. And then the third one to bring up is what we heard this morning in Health and Human Services, which is about the new Washington's Hear Me Wah, which is an app that youth, we have a couple youth in the chambers today, can download onto their phones, and essentially allows through text message, through the app, to engage if you are struggling, if you are feeling unsafe, if you are feeling like something isn't right, and gets you connected with services in a way, and it's very youth focused, designed with a youth in mind. It's just really trying to create a place and space and a lot of different doors for a lot of different youth in our community that all communicate in different ways, a way to access help. So between 988, the different programs, youth mental health first aid from the health department, which sounds like we're working with that as well, and then Hear Me Wah, we're continuing to just find avenues, because suicide should not be the choice that is made. We are doing everything we can. So if you are a teen or a parent of a teen who's struggling, please reach out for help before a choice is made that can't be undone. So just appreciate that we always acknowledge this week, this time, this month. I wish we didn't have to, but we need to keep raising awareness so that we have less youth and families struggling. So thank you, Chair. And thank you, Councilmembers Denson and Vice Chair Campbell, for bringing this forward.
Thank you. Councilmember Coover.
Thank you, Chair. And thank you for your willingness to take yourselves to the depths of places where no one else wants to go. I think I recall several years ago hearing that Washington State was actually like the #1 state in the country for suicide. And I believe part of that was because certain months of the year where it's rather gloomy, it just kind of exacerbates the issue. And I have had someone tell me that actually the biggest epidemic is loneliness and isolation. And I get that, because there's so many things coming at us, you don't know where to turn, and will they like me, will they not? The things that go on in the internet, how mean and snitty people can be, it's very trying. So I just wanted to say thank you for your willingness to go to those deep, dark areas that people don't want to go, and that you're still resilient from that. It's a very special person to be able to do that. So thank you for your service. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Vice Chair Campbell.
Thank you, Chair. I also want to thank you for your work, particularly the work with children. You mentioned some statistics earlier. If we're talking about homeless youth, suicide is the #1 cause of death among youth who are homeless. And so I see you getting into all the schools. Hopefully you're working with the McKinney-Vento, but also encourage you, once you get a lot of that stabilized, to be reaching out to local shelters and homeless youth. We just got a report late last week that as of last week there were 100 homeless youth on the list for shelter in Pierce County. 40% of them have been waiting more than 4 weeks. And that's when you're homeless on the streets and you're out, living in a tent or staying in a car by yourself and all that, and your cell phone may not be working anymore, that's where all the loneliness starts to set in. And so I encourage you, as you build these systems up, to help those who really are experiencing multiple traumas simultaneously through homelessness in our community, as we see the numbers skyrocketing. But thank you for all that you do. You literally save lives every day.
Thank you, Vice Chair Campbell. Look, we are so grateful for community-based organizations like you who are actively looking for solutions and taking action. Thelma, I've gotten to see you several times socially, especially over the next few weeks. I know how proud you are of the very hard work of getting into the Gig Harbor School District, and as you should be. Thank you for celebrating that, lifting that up. It's not easy, and you should celebrate it. So thank you. You know the proclamation that Councilmember Denson read into the record. What sticks out for me is the highlight in one of the statements that she drafted in this proclamation, where you see folks who look different, feel different, and they are the ones that have a disproportionately high rate of suicide. Right? The proclamation points out that Indian and Alaska Natives and lesbian, gay, and bisexual youth and transgender youth have disproportionately high rates of suicide. And we just have to ask ourselves, why is that? Why are the folks who look different than so many others in our community or feel different than others in the community, why are they experiencing in real numbers just significantly disproportionate amounts of suicide? We have to ask ourselves that, right?
Is that a rhetorical question, or can I answer it? Can I deal with it a little bit?
Sure.
Okay. If I can set aside the obvious discrimination that these groups do encounter, I think there are 3 words that people want to be connected with, and that's where this whole idea comes from. And those are hope, listening, and caring. And if someone feels that there's hope, they feel they're being listened to, and they feel that someone cares about them, then that is the first step towards not only dealing with their depression and whatever discrimination they're encountering, but also working towards solutions.
And when you don't have that, is when we see high rates of suicide. And so we have a huge amount of work to do to limit that. Councilor Coover.
Thank you, Chair. I just was reminded of something else, because I've been watching a lot of farm videos, but farmers are 3.5 times more likely to commit suicide in the rural population. Yeah. I don't know. There's just a lot of stress. They're 24/7. The animals don't take breaks, and neither does corn, so you have to be there. 3.5 times more likely to die by suicide than the general population, according to National Rural Health Association. And I heard that a few years ago as well. So it was addressed at the legislature. So it's pretty ugly.
Thank you. Another body of work that I know this council, I know the Public Health Department is wanting to do is reflect on how many of those suicides in the rural area, farmers, all suicides are done by firearms. And we have work to do to really address those issues and the availability of firearms and how they increase the likelihood of death by suicide. So first step is to bring awareness to the issues, to the disproportionality, to the root causes, and try to address them. So thank you for being with us. Thank you for your hard work. We invite you up here to accept the proclamation.
Let's say goodbye.
Judd, come on in here.
Bye.
As always, do everything first rate, Thelma. I like the Michigan colors too, Judd. I'm sure that was not a mistake.
Yeah, it's not. Okay, you want
I'm going to guess.
All right, okay, we're going to have the Wolverine.
I'd be
stand
careful. He
together.
probably stole the wordage from somewhere else.
Hey. Nebraska over here.
Why would Ohio State?
All right. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to get one more. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Since you're from Nebraska, the first person to win a medal in Greco-Roman from the United States, his name was Bob.
Thank you again, and thank you for recognizing our partnership, and a lot more work to do to reduce the number of suicides in our community. We have no resolutions under Section 8 of the agenda, so we're on to Section 9, ordinances. We have proposal ordinance 2024-544 before us. Councilmember Mr. Campbell for a motion.
Thank you. I move proposal number O 2024-544.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded that we adopt ordinance 2024-544. Madam Clerk, will you please read the title into the record?
Proposal number O 2024-544, an ordinance of the Pierce County Council authorizing the approval of applications for open space classification under current use assessment on certain properties located within the unincorporated boundaries of Pierce County and adopting findings of fact.
Ms. Chapman to brief the council this evening.
Yes, thank you, Chair Mello. Rebecca Chapman, council staff. So this is on open space ordinance O 2024-544. This ordinance grants approval to 7 open space applications located within unincorporated Pierce County. The applications were submitted voluntarily by 6 landowners on 10 parcels of land to conserve more open space areas. The applications were reviewed by the Pierce County Planning Commission on April 23rd, 2024, and recommended for approval as presented. There are 5 new and 2 re-rated applications in this ordinance for approval. By way of background, RCW 84.34 currently requires all applications for classification and reclassification to be made to the County Legislative Authority. Appropriate notice was provided by the Planning Commission and a public hearing was held. The requirements of the RCW are being met by this ordinance coming before Council for consideration. The Council packet contains all application materials and recommendations from the Planning Commission. Adoption of this ordinance would result in a shift of $8,239 to benefit the applicants overall. Properties are located in districts 3, 5, 6, and 7. And we have Mike Poteet here from the Planning and Public Works Department to assist with any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Chapman. Mr. Poteet, what do you have to add on behalf of the department?
Good afternoon, Chair. I have nothing to add to Ms. Chapman's statement.
Thank you for being here. We did discuss this in a study session earlier today. Do any council members have any questions or comments before we open up for a public hearing? Not seeing any. This is a public hearing on ordinance 2024-544. Any member of the public wish to provide comment, starting here in council chambers? Not seeing any. Mr. Dominique, anybody in the Zoom room?
For any member of the public that would like to provide comment on proposal number O 2024-544, please press the raise hand icon in Zoom or star 9 on your telephone keypad. And there are no hands at this time, Chair.
Seeing no hands, we'll close the public hearing, bring it back to the council. Are there final remarks by council members? Not seeing any. Madam Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Councilmember Denson.
Aye.
Councilmember Hitchin.
Aye.
Councilmember Campbell.
Aye.
Councilmember Krueger.
Aye.
Councilmember Mello.
Aye.
The result of the roll call vote is 5 ayes and 0 nays.
On a vote of 5 ayes and 0 nays, the ordinance is adopted. We have proposal O 2024-545 before us. Councilmember Denson for a motion, please.
Thank you, Chair. I move proposal number O 2024-545.
It's been properly moved and seconded that we adopt ordinance 2024-545. Madam Clerk, please read the title into the record.
Proposal number O 2024-545, an ordinance of the Pierce County Council authorizing the approval of applications for open space classification under current use assessment on certain properties located within the unincorporated boundaries of Pierce County and adopting findings of fact.
Thank you. Ms. Chapman to brief.
Yes, thank you, Chair Mello, Rebecca Chapman, council staff. This ordinance grants approval to 9 open space applications located within unincorporated Pierce County. The applications were submitted voluntarily by 9 landowners on 18 parcels of land to conserve more open space areas. The applications were reviewed by the Pierce County Planning Commission on May 28th, 2024, and recommended for approval as presented. There are 4 new and 5 re-rated applications in this ordinance for approval. As with the previous ordinance, this ordinance is before you to be in compliance with the RCW related to open space classification applications. Proper notice was given and a public hearing was held by the Planning Commission. Adoption of this ordinance would result in a shift of $8,905 to benefit the applicants overall. Properties are located in Districts 1, 3, and 7. And again, Mike Poteet is here from Planning and Public Works to assist with any questions.
Thank you. Mr. Poteet, anything to add on behalf of the department?
No, Chair. Ms. Chapman has addressed all issues.
Thanks for being available. Any council members have any questions before we open up for a public hearing? Not seeing any. This is a public hearing on ordinance 2024-545. Any member of the public wish to provide comment, starting here in council chambers? Not seeing anybody come to the podium. Mr. Dominique, anybody in the Zoom room?
For any member of the public in the Zoom room who would like to provide comment on proposal number O 2024-545, please press the raise hand icon in Zoom or star 9 on your telephone keypad. There are no hands at this time, Chair.
Seeing no hands, we'll close the public hearing, bring it back to the council. Are there final remarks by council members? I don't see any. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Hitchin.
Aye.
Councilmember Campbell.
Aye.
Councilmember Krueger.
Aye.
Councilmember Denson.
Aye.
Councilmember Mello.
Aye.
The result of the roll call vote is 5 ayes and 0 nays.
On a vote of 5 ayes and 0 nays, the ordinance is adopted. We're at ordinance, the third ordinance on our agenda, ordinance 2024-548S. Councilmember Denson for a motion, please.
Thank you, Chair. I move proposal number O 2024-548S.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded that we adopt ordinance 2024-548S. Madam Clerk, please read the title.
Proposal number O 2024-548S, an ordinance of the Pierce County Council amending Title 18A of the Pierce County Code, Development Regulations Zoning, and the Pierce County Zoning Atlas to implement policy amendments from the 2023 Pierce County Comprehensive Plan Amendment Cycle, adopting findings of fact, and setting an effective date.
Thank you. Mr. Krueger to brief the council.
Good afternoon, Chair. Good afternoon, council members. The proposal before you would adopt several amendments to Pierce County Code Title 18A, Development Regulations Zoning, that are necessary to implement previously approved amendments to the Pierce County Comprehensive Plan. These amendments were all approved through the 2023 Comprehensive Plan Amendment process. In July of 2022, there were a total of 14 Comprehensive Plan Amendment applications received by the county. Those amendments were reviewed by the council. A total of 9 amendments were initiated through resolution number R 2022-135. The resolution requested the Planning and Public Works Department conduct an environmental review and evaluation of each initiated amendment, and that the Planning Commission provide the Council with recommendations on each amendment by February 15th, 2023. On April 11th, 2023, the Council adopted ordinance number 2023-8S, which approved 5 amendments. Those amendments would be implemented pursuant to the proposal that's before you this afternoon. Specifically, the amendments before you today would eliminate the moderate high-density residential zone, including the relevant density and dimension and permitted use standards within the mid-county community plan area. And the reason for that is that there are no parcels designated as such in the mid-county community plan, so there's no need for that zoning standard. The amendments would also introduce the public institution zone and the necessary list of permitted uses within the South Hill Community Plan area. And the reason for inclusion of that particular section of code is that one of the map amendments that were adopted provided that zoning on a couple of parcels, and so we need to have regulations to implement. The 3 map amendments that were adopted include the following. The first one was this amendment in South Hill, 3 parcels totaling 95 acres for moderate density single family to public institution, and this was a proposal by Tacoma Water. Again, it was approved, and there's a companion map in your packet that reflects that area. The second map amendment included 14 parcels totaling 38.5 acres. The zoning in this case was changed from high density residential to employment corridor. This was in the mid-county community plan area, and it was proposed by Cross Creek Partners, again approved by council. And then the final map amendment were 3 parcels totaling 2.25 acres. The zoning there went from high density single family to high density residential with a moderate to high residential zone classification. This is in the South Hill area. It was proposed by Planning and Public Works, and there is an oral amendment that I'll be mentioning here in a few minutes that staff is requesting that you consider to implement that particular change. This proposal was heard by the Community Development and Environment Committee back on April 5th, and the proposal was forwarded to the full council with a do pass as substituted recommendation. There is one amendment that's been prepared for the council, a technical amendment that I can explain at the appropriate time, and again, I do have an oral amendment that staff will be requesting as well. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Kruger. Are there questions for Mr. Kruger before we offer these amendments? I don't see any. Vice Chair Campbell, to move Council Amendment number 1, please.
Thank you, Chair. I move Council Amendment number 1 to Proposal O 2024-548S.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded that we adopt Council Amendment number 1. Mr. Kruger.
Thank you, Chair. This amendment is a technical amendment. It would amend the findings of fact and indicate that the council is taking final action on this bill today, September 3rd, 2024, and that this public hearing was included in the notification published by the News Tribune on August 2nd, 2024. Thank you.
Thank you. There are questions about this technical amendment? Not seeing any, we'll take a voice vote on the adoption of Council Amendment number 1. All those in favor of adopting Council Amendment number 1, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion is adopted. Vice Chair Campbell.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to offer an oral amendment to replace page 6 of Exhibit C with the corrected zoning map for the southwest quarter of Section 11, Township 9, Range 4 East to proposal number O 2024-548S.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded that we replace the zoning map as indicated. Mr. Kruger, I believe, will explain this, and we have a visual to share.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I believe Mr. Dominic has a map that he can put onto the screen, and the clerk is handing out a couple of pages that reflect what's happening here. So the first page on your handout that has some highlighted lines on it are what's occurring. So this map that you have with the highlighted lines was provided by Planning and Public Works. I just took a very close look at these maps this afternoon and realized that the yellow highlighted line needed to move east to where the green highlighted line is shown. And that is to reflect the rezone that was approved by council through those 2023 plan amendments. All of that property, including those parcels between the green and the yellow highlighted lines was approved to be designated MHR by council. The second page of the handout shows the correct map. And I'd be happy to take any questions about this technical correction.
Questions for Mr. Kruger? Vice Chair Campbell.
Thank you. I just want to, maybe Mr. Dominique can help me here on this. For those playing at home, we don't get the green and yellow stripes. But if you could maybe move the cursor on the 3 blocks, keep going a little bit more, the 3 vertical blocks there a little bit more, and right there, those 3, if you just go up and down, those are the 3 that where the line was before and now is being moved over to where you see it folded there. So if people at home are wondering which 3 got moved over, and that's what the interlining zoning was. Our map was just a little bit off. So thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Any other questions about this amendment to replace this map to make sure we are being accurate with the visuals? Not seeing any. We'll take a voice vote on this amendment to adopt a new map to be consistent and accurate. All those in favor of adopting the new map, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The motion is adopted. We have the proposal in front of us as amended. Are there any questions or comments before we open up for a public hearing? Not seeing any. This is a public hearing on ordinance 2024-548S. Does any member of the public wish to provide comment? Starting here in council chambers, not seeing anybody come to the podium. Mr. Dominique, anybody in the Zoom room?
For any member of the public that would like to provide comment on proposal number O, 2024-548S, please press the raise hand icon in Zoom or star 9 on your telephone keypad. And there are no hands at this time, Chair.
With no hands, we'll close the public hearing. Bring it back to the council. Are there final questions or comments by council members? Not seeing any. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll on ordinance 2024-548S?
Councilmember Hitchin.
Aye.
Councilmember Campbell.
Aye.
Councilmember Kruger.
Aye.
Councilmember Denson.
Aye.
Councilmember Mello.
Aye.
The result of the roll call vote is 5 ayes and 0 nays.
On a vote of 5 ayes and 0 nays, the ordinance is adopted. We are at Section 10, Community Forum. Community Forum is an opportunity for members of the public to address the council on any topic that is of significance to or affecting Pierce County government and that did not appear for final action on today's agenda. There is a 3-minute time limit. Please state your name if you would like it on the record, and please address all your comments to the chair. We'll start with those in council chambers. Anybody here in council chambers wish to participate in Community Forum? Welcome. You can adjust the microphone since you're a tall.
The whole podium will rise up too.
There's a button there. Yeah, you'll figure it out.
He turns 14 in a couple weeks.
So please state your name for the record. There's a timer on the TV to your right to help you stay on time. You have 3 minutes.
Hello. That's really loud. My name is Charlie Abrams. I am the president of Tacoma DMLA. DMLA is a youth organization for young men aged 12 to 21 that focuses on developing leadership skills, building character, and fostering a sense of civic responsibility. It was founded in 1919 in Kansas City. The first chapter in Washington was founded here in Tacoma shortly after that. I'd like to introduce the other members of the chapter here with me today. This is Soren Lundin, this is Tegan Bates, and this is Michael Valencia. And this is our chapter advisor, Jeffrey Abrams, my father. We are here for our government day to learn a little bit about how the local government here in Tacoma works. Thank you all for having us. That's all I got.
Thank you for being with us.
May I ask a question of the speaker?
Vice Chair Campbell.
Well, what does DMLA do?
Take your best shot.
What doesn't it do? I don't know.
Please identify yourself for the record.
Thank you, council members. My name is Jeff Abrams. I'm the adult advisor for the DeMolay boys. I will take 30 seconds. DeMolay has been around, like you said, for just over 100 years. First chapter in Washington was here in Tacoma. Basically, we take boys, we teach them leadership skills, and we do it through having all kinds of fun activities. Like the other day, we were at Catapult down in Lakewood, but we also, at our chapter meetings, we use parliamentary procedure and Robert's Rules of Order. So I think it was very interesting for the boys to see how you guys were running your meetings, and teach them public speaking skills, which we still need to work on, and how to run a meeting, how to run a budget, do all that kind of stuff, real world kind of good things, but also having fun while doing all that. So thank you all for having us.
Thank you. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for your investment. Should we finish community forum and then come back to it? Or?
Yeah, well, I was just going to ask Chair if they stick around, we could do a photo with the council if they would want. Okay.
Thank you.
After the meeting.
Sounds good. We would love to take a photo with you, gentlemen. Thank you for being with us. Anyone else in chambers wish to participate in community forum? Not seeing any. Mr. Dominique, anybody in our Zoom room?
For any member of the public that would like to let me start over. For any member of the public that would like to participate in community forum, please press the raise hand icon in Zoom or *9 on your telephone keypad. And we have no hands at this time, Chair.
With no hands, we'll close the community forum portion of our meeting. Again, we love having visitors here, especially young people. So thanks for being with us. And at the conclusion of the meeting, we would love to grab a photo with you and help recognize your day with us. Thank you. That concludes community forum. We're at section 11, other business and announcements. Is there any business or announcements by members? Vice Chair Campbell.
Thank you, Chair. I move to reconsider proposal number O, 2024-543S2 as amended. Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded to reconsider proposal O, 2024-543S2. Is there discussion? This is the summer supplement. This is what we commonly refer to as the summer supplemental budget. The motion is to reconsider this proposal, which means bringing it back before the body for further consideration. All those in favor of reconsidering proposal O 2024-543S2, let's take a voice vote. Please say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay? Nay. The motion is adopted. We now have proposal O 2024-543S2 before us in the same form as it was just prior to the final vote last week. Is there any further final council discussion? Vice Chair Campbell.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for the opportunity to bring this up for reconsideration on the proposal of the summer supplemental. With the emergency declaration by the executive earlier today, there's a 1.143 allocation in it, fiscal impact, so I want to make sure that we're capturing that in the budget. And since the issue around coordinated entry we weren't aware of when we finalized the budget last week, we need to make sure we get that captured in the budget. And I appreciate the executive taking time to declare an emergency to prevent the loss of coordinated entry in our community. We still have the larger issue of making sure that we are getting coordinated entry in all of our homeless services rights. We have millions of dollars in taxpayer appropriated in budget. I do plan to, because of the lateness of the emergency notification, haven't had time to prepare amendments. I do intend to hold this over to, or to propose that we hold this over to next week. At that point, we'll work on bringing forward an amendment that requires human services to be trained, human services staff to be trained on the county's own procurement practices and code by finance, procurement, and the prosecuting attorney. Requires the finance department to independently review contracts that human services is proposing to extend or amend, and in particular contracts entered into prior to September 2023, when we all learned of the charter's requirement for competition, and require Human Services to give us a work plan so that the council and public know when procurements are made and planned, and to set some expectations of when the actions need to be taken, and ensure that the emergency that the executive declared earlier this afternoon actually has funding set aside to complete what he has said he wants to do in the emergency. And so this is a prudent step that we need to be taking, lest us not be able to fund the emergency. We have responsibility to act when we see these problems. What happened today is a problem, and we have a budget in our possession so we can act to prevent this in the future. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Is there any other council discussion? Vice Chair Campbell for a motion.
Thank you, Chair. I move to roll all amendments into a substitute and continue proposal O 2024-543 S2 to our regular meeting of September 10th, 2024.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded to roll all amendments into a substitute and continue proposal O 2024-543 S2 to our regular meeting of September 10th, 2024. Any final remarks? As Vice Chair Campbell noted, the week continuance will allow council to work together to prepare another amendment to the summer supplemental budget. As Vice Chair Campbell illustrated, the declaration of emergency causes a lot of questions for council about what else is missed, what else needs to be better done in our Human Services Department to procure services, what other services have not gone through proper procurement, and that might be falling by the wayside. So just it causes all kinds of concerning questions that we need to make sure that our human services providers are able to do the important work that they're here to do, and that our Human Services Department is equipped to do this important work. So we have work to do over the next week to identify how we further perfect this. Any other remarks? Well, the motion in front of us is to continue proposal O 2024-543S to the regular meeting of September 10th, 2024. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay?
Nay.
The motion is adopted. It will be continued to the meeting of Tuesday, September 10th, 2024. Is there any other business or announcements by members? I'm not seeing any. Ms. Long, is there any other business for council this evening?
No, thank you.
With no further business before the Pierce County Council, this meeting is adjourned.